It was a crisp autumn night, and Sarah sat by her window, sipping tea as the wind whispered through the trees. The world outside was still, save for the occasional rustle of leaves. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the quiet neighborhood. Everything felt peaceful, too peaceful. Then a faint sound pierced the stillness, something soft, almost imperceptible, coming from the backyard. At first, Sarah thought it was the wind, but the noise persisted. It was a scraping sound like nails on metal. Unease crept up her spine as she stood up and peered out the window. Her backyard was empty, but the scraping continued, now accompanied by a faint shuffle, as though something or someone was moving along the ground. She took a deep breath and stepped away from the window, heart pounding. She tried to brush it off, telling herself it was just an animal. But the unease lingered. As she walked into the living room, Sarah froze. The curtains were slightly parted, and a shadow passed by. Not just any shadow. This one was human-sized. She felt her breath catch in her throat, her body stiff with fear. Was someone watching her? No one else should be around at this hour. Just as Sarah was about to turn on the lights, the doorbell rang. It was a single, abrupt chime, echoing through the house. Her heart stopped. Who could be at the door at this time of night? She hesitated, listening for any sound. But there was only silence. Slowly, she walked to the door and peered through the peephole. The porch was empty. No one was there. Confusion and terror clouded her mind. She double-checked the locks, making sure everything was secure. But then, the sound of footsteps outside grew louder, slowly, methodically. Whoever it was, they weren't trying to hide anymore. Sarah's pulse quickened as she rushed to grab her phone. Her fingers fumbled on the screen. She dialed 911, but no signal. Her heart raced. The intruder was close. Suddenly, the sound of glass shattering shattered the silence. Sarah spun around, her eyes wide with terror. A rock had flown through the living room window, leaving a jagged hole. Panic surged through her as she ducked, trying to hide behind the couch. The footsteps outside stopped. Was the intruder inside? A chill ran down her spine as she heard a faint whisper, low and menacing, coming from the hallway. Sarah's breath caught as she heard footsteps coming closer, the intruder's movement slow and deliberate. She dared not move. From her hiding spot, she saw the hallway stretching before her, dimly lit by the flickering light of a lamp. The shadow of a figure emerged from the darkness, tall and menacing. It paused in the hallway, and then everything went still, too still. Suddenly, the figure turned, heading toward the kitchen. Sarah seized her chance. She crawled to the back door and threw it open. But as she stepped outside, she was pulled back by an unseen force, slamming her into the ground. The intruder was right behind her, his breath cold against her skin. With a final surge of strength, Sarah kicked him off and ran to the old cellar door at the back of the house. It was the only place she could hide. Sarah scrambled into the cellar, slamming the door behind her. The room was pitch black, save for the dim glow of moonlight filtering through cracks. The air was heavy, thick with dread. She crouched down, holding her breath, as footsteps descended the stairs. A cold, menacing voice echoed from the darkness. "I know you're in here," it whispered. "There's nowhere to run." Her hands trembled as she fumbled for anything to defend herself with. In the pitch-black cellar, Sarah felt her pulse race. The figure was close, his breathing loud in the stillness. Then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, the sound stopped. She waited, barely daring to breathe. A creak echoed from above, then nothing. When she finally emerged, the house was empty, no sign of the intruder. But on the floor, by the broken window, was a single, bloodied handprint, still fresh, still waiting.